Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Woohoon. God level selection for instant upgrades. Chapter 41. After this brief confrontation, the two also understood Qiling's strength. A simple summary is that from the front, there is no chance of winning. If he wanted to win, he had to find another way, and the best breakthrough point was naturally Ning Rongrong behind him. So in Qiling's perception, the figure originally in the smoke suddenly increased by 1. From 2 people, it became 3 people. After a little analysis, Qiling immediately judged that this should be the sole skill of one of them, but he didn't know whether the added clone was just a shadow, or did it also have attack capabilities. After a brief pause, the 3 figures immediately started taking action. They divided their troops into 3 groups, rushed out of the smoke from 3 directions, and launched an attack on Qiling. Qiling didn't think so. Even if the opponent increased to 3 people, for him, it was just one more attack. He immediately took action to block the 3 people's attacks. As soon as they fought, Qiling immediately frowned and secretly shouted that he had been fooled. He seemed to have fallen into the opponent's trick. Among the 3 figures who fought with him, only one was a real person, and the other 2 were phantoms. This means that there is only one person fighting against him at this time, and the figure of the other person has actually disappeared. Even Qiling couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. And this brief moment is exactly the opportunity the 2 sisters are looking for. Qiling felt that Yimingzu in front of him seemed to smile, and then the 2 clones disappeared. At the same time, Yimingzu's figure actually appeared behind him out of thin air, using his dagger to attack the unsuspecting Ning Rongrong with all his strength. As a killer, Qiling had no doubts about Yimingzu's ability to attack. If the attack succeeded, Ning Rongrong would have no chance of being spared. The 2 sisters cooperated tacitly, and even took advantage of the flaws in their soul skills that he had never seen before, successfully creating such an opportunity. It was inevitable that they would succeed in one blow and send Ning Rongrong off first. At the critical moment, Qiling laughed out loud. "You 2 little girls, how dare you plot against me? I have never seen your soul skills, but do you understand my soul skills?" At that moment, a long and loud dragon roar came from Qiling's mouth, immediately causing the 2 sisters around him to fall into a dizzy state. Qiling's 9 Heavens dragon roar is undoubtedly a magical skill to control the field. It has a forced stun effect and can even determine the victory of a battle. However, this 9 Heavens dragon song can only be used once on the same target in a short period of time. Qiling must choose the right time to use it, but now is undoubtedly the best time. Facing the 2 stunned sisters, Qiling had no idea of pity and immediately turned around to attack Yimingzu. After all, the opponent is not a simple weak woman, but a truly well-trained killer. If you are soft-hearted towards them, you may be the one who falls. Although he did not use his second soul skill, Qiling was confident that his punch would be enough to make Yimingzu lose her fighting ability, but at the same time it would not kill her. But when her fist touched Yimingzu, Qiling frowned again, because there was something on her body that blocked her attack and protected Yimingzu. This thing is undoubtedly a protective treasure that can withstand an attack for its owner. With such a gap, Yimingzu also recovered from the dizziness, immediately gave up the attack, and retreated into the smoke with Yimingzu. The reason why he did not continue to attack was because Yimingzu knew that even if he killed Ning Rongrong, if he was also killed by Qiling, everything would be meaningless. Yimingzu alone is no match for Qiling. Only by joining forces can the 2 of them have any hope of victory. It was after making this judgment that the 2 of them retreated into the smoke, regained their composure, and made plans again. After several attacks and defenses, both sides showed their outstanding strength, which attracted bursts of cheers from the audience, and they all lamented that the tickets purchased today were really worth it. Shrek Academy and others were even more surprised by this fierce battle. Oscar stammered. Are they really great soul masters like us? This is too exaggerated. Flanders said earnestly. Take a good look. All of you, both of them, are undoubtedly the most outstanding geniuses. They are both your goals and your opponents. It is no exaggeration to say that this is the most advanced battle in your realm. You must study hard. Opportunities like this don't come often. After hearing this, several people immediately started watching the game with full concentration, for fear of missing any details. Qiling watched the 2 people retreat into the smoke and couldn't help but frown. After such a long time, the smoke not only did not dissipate, but became thicker and thicker, and had a tendency to spread to the entire audience. If the arena is completely shrouded in smoke, then there is no doubt that one of them will fall into a passive position. The opponent is obviously used to fighting in smoke. Even if Qi Ling has piercing eyes, he cannot defeat them. True dragon martial skill, dragon breath. Qi Ling circulated his true energy with both hands and used the martial arts he had just learned. He immediately waved strong wind from his hands and blew away the smoke on the field. After the smoke dissipated, the people inside were revealed, but where there should have been 2 people, only Yi Mingzu was left. Seeing this scene, Qi Ling immediately increased his vigilance, because this was exactly the same as the situation just now. Just now, Yi Mingyu suddenly appeared from behind her, not using any teleportation skills, but hiding her figure and quietly sneaking behind Qi Ling. Although he didn't know if this was their sole skill, since the other party had taken action, Qi Ling had to take precautions and firmly protect Ning Rongrong behind him. Then, Yi Mingzu, who was left on the field, moved. Holding a dagger in one hand, she rushed up to fight with Qi Ling. Her attacks were simple and sophisticated, obviously after years of hard training. But unfortunately, facing cheating players like Qi Ling, no matter how skilled she is, there is nothing she can do. The moment Yi Mingzu took action, Qi Ling had already grasped the trajectory of her attack, so he could dodge and counterattack. While dealing with Yi Mingzu's offensive, Qi Ling was also wary of Yi Mingyu's appearance. This was almost foreseeable. The 2 sisters would definitely regard Ning Rongrong as their target. Sure enough, just after Qi Ling's movements revealed a flaw, a figure suddenly appeared from beside Qi Ling, and then stabbed Ning Rongrong with the dagger in his hand extremely quickly. Well done. Qi Ling thought to himself. That flaw was naturally exposed deliberately by him in order to lure the snake out of its hole and allow Yi Mingyu to take action. With his goal achieved at this time, Qi Ling naturally would not miss this opportunity. He immediately abandoned the Yi Mingzu in front of him and attacked Yi Mingyu, who appeared. The attack process went very smoothly. Qi Ling's fist successfully hit the figure. But the moment his fist came into contact with the opponent, Qi Ling's expression changed. The figure in front of him actually disappeared without a trace under his fist. This is of course not caused by Qi Ling, but because that figure was just a created phantom from the beginning. Because of the previous battle, Qi Ling took it for granted that only Yi Mingzu could use the clone skill, while Yi Mingyu should have mastered the stealth skill. Unexpectedly, this was a trap deliberately set by the 2 sisters. The purpose was to give Qi Ling such an illusion and create the current opportunity. At this moment, Yi Mingyu's figure appeared from another direction and quickly attacked Ning Rongrong. Qi Ling had no choice but to change her body shape and launched an offensive towards Yi Mingyu. Fortunately, he reacted in time and had time to attack Yi Mingyu and save Ning Rongrong. However, the second time, when Qi Ling attacked Yi Mingyu's figure turned into a shadow and disappeared. The second figure that appeared was actually a clone. What is real is what is imaginary, and what is imaginary is what is real. This set of operations by the 2 sisters has fully considered all aspects, and it can be said to be flawless. They told everyone present what true genius is. At this moment, Qi Ling instantly understood what kind of game the 2 sisters had set up, but it was already too late. In order to rescue Ning Rongrong, Qi Ling forcibly changed his trajectory. At this time, he was in a state of exhaustion and defenselessness. And this situation is obviously the result of careful planning by the 2 sisters. They pretended to attack Ning Rongrong, but their actual target was Qi Ling. Killing Ning Rongrong can certainly increase the winning rate, but after the battle just now, the 2 sisters discovered that keeping her is the biggest constraint on Qi Ling. Otherwise, once Qi Ling loses his restraints, with the explosive power he just showed, the 2 sisters still have no certainty of victory. And more importantly, although Ning Rongrong has excellent assistive abilities, he has no ability to recover. In other words, if Qi Ling is injured, he will not be treated. That's why the 2 of them came up with this plan, using Ning Rongrong as bait to trick Qi Ling and try to inflict heavy damage on him. Now that they finally got such an opportunity, the 2 sisters would naturally not miss it. Yi Mingyu's figure appeared next to Yi Mingzu. The 2 of them reached out their daggers in unison and struck Qi Ling's unsuspecting back. Combined attack technique. Blood cross slash. 2 daggers, with bloody light, drew across on Qi Ling's back. This is the most powerful combined attack that the two have honed since childhood. The person who was hit has never been able to escape unscathed. Ah! Ning Rongrong screamed, but as an auxiliary soul master, she had no choice but to watch the two attacks fall on Qi Ling. Facing the attack of the two sisters, Qi Ling had no way to dodge and could only use his own body to resist the attack. If any one of them were hit by the combined attacks of the two sisters, they would definitely lose their ability to resist and be seriously injured and leave the field. But Qi Ling was different. He had practiced the 9 transformation true dragon art, and his physical fitness was different from ordinary people. He blocked the full force attack of the two sisters. Although he avoided being seriously injured and losing his fighting ability, Qi Ling still had 2 eye-catching scars on his back, and blood continued to flow out, staining the ground red. But Qi Ling did not immediately check his injuries. Instead, he immediately turned around and stood in front of Ning Rongrong to prevent the two from continuing to pursue him. Yi Mingzhu and Yi Mingyu do have this plan. If Qi Ling makes a mistake, then whether they continue to pursue Qi Ling or attack Ning Rongrong is a good choice. But Qi Ling ignored the pain and immediately made preparations for a defensive counterattack, but the two lost the opportunity to pursue. They had no choice but to retreat, preparing to find another opportunity. Ning Rongrong, who was staying behind Qi Ling, looked at the shocking injuries on Qi Ling's back. She reached out tremblingly to touch Qi Ling, but was afraid of hurting Qi Ling, so she held back in the end. For the first time, she began to hate her own weakness, because it was her burden that made Qi Ling passive and suffered such serious injuries. Qi Ling, your injury. Ning Rongrong said anxiously, it's all my fault. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't. It's not your fault, Rongrong, it's just that the opponent is too powerful. Qi Ling said, besides, without your assistance, I might have lost long ago. Of course, Ning Rongrong could tell that Qi Ling was comforting herself. On the one hand, she was grateful for Qi Ling's tenderness, but on the other hand, she felt even more guilty. Qi Ling, how about we? Before Ning Rongrong could finish her words of proposing to admit defeat, Qi Ling interrupted her. Rongrong, be prepared. No matter what happens later, don't be afraid. Qi Ling said with a smile, get ready for your first victory. Ning Rongrong didn't understand why Qi Ling was still confident even though his side was forced into a desperate situation and even declared victory. What she didn't understand even more was why she didn't doubt anything this man said, and even chose to believe it the first time. After a slight adjustment, the two sisters Yi Mingzhu and Yi Mingyu launched an attack on Qi Ling again. They knew that they could not give Qi Ling time to recover. The harder they pushed him, the greater their chances of winning. But Qi Ling, at this moment, made a move that was beyond everyone's expectations. He changed his previous passive defense mode, directly stretched out his left hand, hugged Ning Rongrong into his arms, and then started to attack the two sisters with Ning Rongrong in his arms. What's even more surprising is that even with only one hand, Qi Ling actually received the attacks of the two sisters perfectly. This is not only because Qi Ling's fiery eyes can predict the opponent's attack route, allowing Qi Ling to choose the optimal response. More importantly, through his positioning, he allowed the two sisters to influence each other and prevent them from attacking him at the same time. For two sisters who have such a tacit understanding that they are the same person, it is impossible for their attacks to affect each other, but Qi Ling did it. He told everyone with his actions that not only you two sisters are geniuses, but I, Qi Ling, am also a rare genius in the world. When the two attacks were repelling each other and even almost hurt each other, Yi Mingyu and Yi Mingzhu finally stopped. If this continues, it will not be them forcing Qi Ling, but Qi Ling forcing them. After breaking away from the battle circle with Qi Ling, the two sisters began to move quickly in the field, confusing Qi Ling with their unique movements, and then when their positions were intertwined, they threw out a smoke bomb again and entered the invisible state together. Stealth state. Looking at the empty situation in the smoke, Qi Ling secretly thought, sure enough, these two sisters not only know the clone technique, but also the stealth technique. And now that they have entered stealth at the same time, the next thing they will use against themselves should be their trump card for victory. Who wins and who loses depends on the next confrontation. Flanders, who was watching the game in the audience, frowned at this time and made the same judgment as Qi Ling. It seems that this game should be over soon. Who wins and who loses will also be determined soon. A result. Xiao Wu asked anxiously. Dean, who will win between Brother Qi and them? It's hard to say. I can only say that both sides have a chance to win. Flanders said rigorously. Then why do you know that the result of this game is about to happen? Xiao Wu asked. It's very simple, because all dagger-type spirits have one thing in common. Flanders said, that is their first spirit skill, which is surprisingly similar. Similar? How could it be possible? Could it be that if they absorbed the soul rings of different soul beasts, they would also obtain the same soul skills? Xiao Wu asked curiously. Yes, that's right. Their first soul skill is almost unaffected by the soul ring. It's all the same skill, fatal blow. Flanders said. This is the most important skill for an assassin. You can concentrate all your soul power into the next attack, thereby greatly increasing the speed, power, accuracy, and lethality of the next attack. However, this move often has great side effects, so they will not use it easily until the critical moment that can determine victory or defeat. Being able to judge the correct time to use a fatal blow is the key to whether an assassin is qualified. Standards. Then, will Brother Qi be in danger? Can he block such an attack? Xiao Wu asked worriedly. It depends on his own choice. Should he choose to protect his companions or win? Flanders said with deep meaning as he looked at Qi Ling on the ring. Should we choose companions or victory? Qi Ling smiled softly. Regarding this question, he had only one choice. I want them all. The two sisters all entered a stealth state, waiting for the opportunity to launch their ultimate attack on Qi Ling, but little did they know that what they did was exactly what Qi Ling wanted. If one person interferes and the other sneaks, it will be difficult for Qi Ling to detect their figures. However, when both of them enter stealth, Qi Ling's sharp eyes can determine their location through small changes in the surrounding environment. Although the two sisters, as killers, left almost no traces in their actions, Qi Ling's fiery eyes could even see the slight trembling in the air. In his eyes, the two sisters' stealth was just a lie. In the end, the two thought they had found the best angle, and they took action at the same time. The first soul skill, a fatal blow, was launched. Incomparably powerful soul power was poured into the dagger, intending to decide the outcome with one blow. The target of the attack was also carefully planned by the two of them, that is, they must attack and save them. Put Ning Rongrong and Qi Ling into the attack range at the same time and see how Qi Ling chooses. Faced with such a deliberate attack, Qi Ling suddenly laughed and said to Ning Rongrong, "Get ready, Rongrong, it will be over soon." "Ah, what do you want me to prepare? Ah." Before Ning Rongrong could finish her words, she suddenly let out a scream, because she was actually lifted up by Qi Ling's hands and thrown into the air. Everyone present did not expect Qi Ling to do this, including the two sisters who had already launched the attack. After throwing Ning Rongrong into the air, Qi Ling said with a smile, "You have been suppressing me and beating me for a long time, right? It's time for you to taste my fist." The second soul skill, Tyrant Dragon Fist, Double Dragon Club. This time, the Tyrant Dragon Fist used by Qi Ling was different from the past. The soul power was concentrated on his two fists at the same time. This is the method of using power that he learned after practicing the 9 turns True Dragon art. Although the power is not as powerful as a single fist, it is still 70% of the power. Two fists, with a whistling sound, were swung at the two people who were attacking. Although Yi Mingzhu and Yi Mingyu were surprised and didn't understand why Qi Ling could find them in the stealth state, they had no room to retreat at this time and could only attack them head-on. The two of them didn't believe it. Could it be that they both had 1,000-year soul rings and the strongest attack they could hit together was no match for Qi Ling alone? But this is the fact. After the two people came into contact with Qi Ling's fist, their eyes immediately widened. The surging force from the fist almost crushed them and they were unable to resist it. Poof! The two of them spit out a mouthful of blood at the same time and flew backwards. While they were still in midair, the dagger spirit in their hands had disappeared and could no longer be maintained. When everyone in the audience saw this scene, they all felt the same and showed expressions of pain. Oscar even said helplessly, "What's wrong with you? You have to compete with Boss Qi in terms of destructive power. Isn't this lighting up a lantern in the toilet, looking for shit?" After repelling the two men, Qi Ling stretched out his arms again, steadily caught Ning Rongrong who fell from the air, and held her sideways in his arms. Ning Rongrong, who was still in shock, said angrily, "You You hateful guy, why didn't you tell me first? I told you first, if they are not prepared, then how can I force them to confront me head on? Qi Ling said with a smile, if you want to deceive the enemy, you must first deceive your own people. What, have you already solved them? Ning Rongrong asked in surprise. Such a difficult opponent was actually solved by Qi Ling in one go. Qi Ling smiled and said, of course, if you don't believe me, ask the referee. The referee on the side looked like he had just woken up from a dream, because this game was so exciting that even he was completely addicted to it. The killer combination has lost the ability to fight again. In the 7th game of the 2-on-2 match, Qi Rongrong's combination won. The referee announced at this time. When the referee announced the victory, the audience burst into warm applause, and everyone in Shrek in the audience cheered and screamed, happy for Qi Ling's victory. Haha, what do you think? Let me just say that we can definitely win. Qi Ling smiled at Ning Rongrong, I never make mistakes when I speak. Well, I get it, I know you're awesome. But, can you put me down first? Ning Rongrong said with a blush, or are you going to just hold me like this? What's the end? Only then did Qi Ling remember that she had been holding the princess in Ning Rongrong's arms. With so many people watching, no wonder she was shy. So he put Ning Rongrong down and walked off the ring with her. But after being put down by Qi Ling, Ning Rongrong suddenly felt a sense of loss for some reason. It seems that the feeling of being held by him is not bad, right? What Qi Ling didn't see was that there were two people in the audience who didn't cheer and kept paying attention to him after he won. There seems to be a strange fuzzy feeling in the space around these two people, making it impossible to see their faces clearly. They can only judge from their body shapes that they should be two women. One of them said at this time, I didn't expect that Mingzhu and Mingyu would lose. It's incredible, they are the most outstanding geniuses among us. Another person said, it's nothing incredible. There are people outside the world, and there is a sky outside the world. But this Qi Ling is indeed worthy of our attention. Young master, what do you mean? Find someone and keep an eye on him secretly, but be sure not to be discovered by him. The man known as the young master said, I have a hunch that our clan's great cause must be closely related to him. Hearing what the young master said, the man was shocked and said, him. But young master, no matter how powerful he is just a great soul master. What role can he play? HMPH, although he is a great soul master, he is not just a great soul master. The young master seemed to smile, in short, give me an order that no one can be an enemy of him. Even if necessary, you can give him provide help. Yes, young master, the man replied. Then, the two men suddenly disappeared from their seats, as if they had never appeared. After coming off the court, Qi Ling accepted the congratulations from everyone at Shrek and enjoyed a hug from Xiao Wu as usual. Zhu Zuqing, who had always been very indifferent to everything, actually stepped forward to congratulate Qi Ling at this time, but what Qi Ling saw in her eyes was a strong fighting spirit. This girl is considering herself as her target. After all, the two people just now have similar attributes to her, but they are obviously much stronger than her. She seemed to be thinking about how to defeat Qi Ling. Qi Ling, you did a good job. You not only protected your companions, but also won the victory. I'm really impressed, Flanders said with satisfaction. As for you, Ning Rongrong, have you learned what a companion is during this battle? Ning Rongrong blushed and said, humph. Who is his companion? I was just dragged here by him, not his companion. I have to go back first so that I don't continue to waste time with you. Ning Rongrong said and left alone. The others shook their heads helplessly. They did not expect that Ning Rongrong would still have this attitude. Only Qi Ling said with a smile, Rongrong is just shy. In fact, she has already changed her mind. Flanders nodded and said, indeed, just the fact that she was willing to play today surprised me. Qi Ling did a good job, keep up the hard work. After that, everyone's competition went smoothly. Except for Ma Hongjun, who encountered a difficult defensive soul master and lost the game, everyone won. After everyone finished the game, everyone walked towards Shrek Academy together. Flanders also announced that that was all the training content for today. Everyone could just go back and rest and gather on time tomorrow morning. But when everyone came to the entrance of the college, they all stopped in surprise, because Ning Rongrong was standing there with a bag in his hand, and he didn't know what it contained. Rongrong, what are you doing here? Why didn't you come back with us? Qi Ling asked. Ning Rongrong stepped forward, blushed, pushed the bag in her hand to Qi Ling's chest and said, "Hey. This is medicine for healing. The injury on your back must be treated in time." This time, even Qi Ling was a little surprised. He didn't expect that Ning Rongrong had left early just now to buy medicine for Qi Ling. As for the other people, not to mention, Xiao Wu opened her mouth in surprise, while Oscar and Ma Hongjun whistled frivolously. Seeing the reaction of others, Ning Rongrong blushed, and then said arrogantly, "What, don't misunderstand me, you were injured because of me, so I bought you medicine." "Okay, why are you still standing there? Go back quickly and let me apply medicine to you. We have to gather tomorrow, right?" Looking at the two people leaving together, Oscar suddenly shouted from behind, "Boss Qi. Take care of yourself, don't make it too late, you will be late tomorrow." Qi Ling stumbled and almost fell down. Oscar was just watching the fun and not taking it too seriously, so he could say whatever he wanted. "Oscar, you kid, how can you say that? What will Qi Ling and Rongrong think if you do this?" Flanders frowned and reprimanded. Qi Ling was sighing that the dean was nice, steady and mature when he heard him continue. "Qi Ling, don't worry. If you are really late, I won't blame you. It's just that you have to take protective measures. You know, at your age, you can't have children yet." This time Qi Ling really fell. Now he only regrets how he got to know such a group of harmful people. Of course, nothing happened that night. After Ning Rongrong gave Qi Ling the medicine, her face turned as red as a cooked prawn. She lowered her head and ran back to her house. In the dormitory, I couldn't say a word. After all, for her status, let alone applying medicine to a man, even the man's back was her first contact. When Qi Ling took off his shirt and showed off his thick back muscles, Ning Rongrong was already in a state of shutdown. The rest was basically done by his own instinct. Early the next morning, when Qi Ling hurriedly finished breakfast and rushed to the playground, everyone else was almost there, except Oscar. "Huh, mistress, hasn't Oscar come yet?" Qi Ling asked Tang San, who was in the same dormitory as Oscar. "Not yet. When I left, Xiaoao seemed to be still cultivating," Tang San said. "So hardworking. Is this kid about to make a breakthrough?" Qi Ling said with a smile, "Maybe we will set off tomorrow to find the soul ring for Oscar." When Ning Rongrong heard this, she pouted and said, "Humph. Do you think you are a fortune teller? That's what you say. I don't believe it." "Oh, then do you want to make a bet with me?" Qi Ling said with a smile, "Bet on whether what I just said is accurate." "What are you betting on?" Ning Rongrong asked curiously. "If you win, forget the 100 gold soul coins. If I win," Qi Ling said with a smile, "how about you just kiss me?" You hate it," Ning Rongrong said coquettishly. "Is my kiss only worth 100 gold soul coins?" "Haha, do you want to bet?" Ning Rongrong thought about it secretly. It couldn't really be such a coincidence that he was right. "HMPH. Am I still afraid of you? I made a bet with you," Ning Rongrong said. So, when Oscar arrived belatedly and proudly announced to everyone that he had exceeded level 30, Ning Rongrong's cherry mouth was wide enough to fit an egg in. "No, it can't be right," Ning Rongrong said to herself in disbelief. Could he really be right? Upon hearing the news, Flanders immediately said happily, "Oh, you actually broke through to level 30, Oscar. It's so gratifying, so gratifying. In that case, let's change the content of our training today. Everyone go back and prepare. Tomorrow morning, Teacher Zhao Wuji will lead you to get Oscar his third soul ring." Ning Rongrong. Qi Ling looked at the troubled Ning Rongrong with a half smile. She said, "There is nothing better to compare yourself with than fortune telling. You have come from time travel. No one knows what will happen to you in the future better than you." "Ahem, who said just now that you want to bet with me?" Qi Ling said with a smile, "It seems that you also said that if you lose, what will you do?" Ning Rongrong's face was red with embarrassment, but everyone around them had heard about the bet they just made. It was impossible for her to go back on her word because of her personality. "Damn, it's just a kiss," Ning Rongrong said, quickly kissed Qi Ling on the face, and then sprinted back to his dormitory at a distance of 100 meters. "Ha, brother Qi, why did Rongrong kiss you?" Xiao Wu said dissatisfied. "Damn it. I want it too." Xiao Wu was much more enthusiastic than Ning Rongrong. She almost pounced on Qi Ling. It took Qi Ling a lot of effort to catch the little rabbit from her body. Flender said that he was going to get a soul ring for Oscar, so he should go to the Stardow Forest. After all, it is one of the areas with the richest soul beast resources in the entire Duluo continent. A large number of soul masters go there every day to look for soul rings. And this is also an opportunity for Qi Ling. The third soul ring that I have been unable to find, maybe I can find something in the Star Forest. Ding dong. It is detected that the host is facing a choice. Please make a choice among the following options. Option 1. Refuse to go to the Stardow Forest, practice alone in Shrek Academy, and receive the reward, the title of Lonely Ghost, and a 10-year soul ring. Option 2. Go to the Star Forest with everyone from Shrek Academy, and help Oscar obtain the soul ring, and get the reward, Wheel of Fortune. Looking at the rewards in the system, Qi Ling felt that the system was becoming more and more stingy. In the past, I was given a 1,000-year soul ring as a gift, but now why is it changed to 10 years? The shrinkage is also too severe. And there's this Wheel of Fortune. I'm not going to be a pirate, so what's the use of the wheel? Does driving a bullock cart also require watching the roulette wheel? But when Qi Ling checked the effect of the Wheel of Fortune, he immediately changed his view. Not only was this system not stingy, it was simply extremely generous. The Wheel of Fortune can automatically find what the host wants most after being used by the host, and indicate the direction. At the same time, when the target enters 10 kilometers around the host, it will remind the host. With this thing, Qi Ling no longer has to worry about his soul ring. This is better than any reward. Congratulations to the host, you have chosen option 2. Go to the Star Forest and get the reward, Wheel of Fortune. With the completion of the task, Qi Ling obtained a very exquisite roulette wheel, with the pointer on it shaking slightly and constantly changing direction. Then Qi Ling followed the system's instructions and pictured his martial soul and soul ring in his mind, and the roulette pointer began to rotate, and finally stopped in a fixed direction. This is. Qi Ling looked at the direction of the roulette pointer, which seemed to be in the same direction as the Star Forest where he and others were going. This means that the third soul ring Qi Ling is looking for is in the Star Forest, and he will definitely gain something during this trip. After receiving this news, Qi Ling couldn't help but feel extremely happy. His soul power, which he had been unable to gain for more than 2 years, could finally grow again. After all, this is a world dominated by soul power, and increasing soul power is the most fundamental way to become stronger. What about the Star Forest? It's an amazing place there, and there are many strong people there. Qi Ling thought, before going there, let's make some preparations. It is very difficult to become stronger in a short period of time, but Qi Ling is lucky to have such a method, which is the 9-turn true dragon art that he has practiced. Because now, I have cultivated the first level of the 9-turn true dragon art to a perfect state, so I can carry out the second physical training. As long as you complete this step, you can take your own strength even further. So Qi Ling started to temper his body again in his dormitory, further removing impurities from the body and tempering every part of the body. Although he had been tempered once before, it did not alleviate Qi Ling's pain this time. After all, it is not an easy task to cultivate the true dragon body recorded in the 9-turn true dragon art. Therefore, Qi Ling also experienced a lot this time. The tempering of life was worse than death, which lasted for a whole day and night. The next day, everyone who gathered in the playground was waiting for Qi Ling, so Flanders had no choice but to say, "Did Qi Ling oversleep? Ning Rongrong, go check it out. What on earth is Qi Ling doing?" Ning Rongrong didn't think anything else and went directly to Qi Ling's dormitory, only to find that the door was locked and she couldn't get in at all. "HMPH, is this a rare opportunity for me to live with you? I want to see what you are doing when you lock yourself in the room." Ning Rongrong said proudly, "When I catch your handle, let's see what you do, bully me." The door locks of Shrek Academy are all the simplest spring locks. Anyone with a little knowledge can easily pick them open. After all, in such a poor school, no one bothers to steal things. After easily prying open Qi Ling's door, Ning Rongrong took a deep breath and slowly opened Qi Ling's door nervously. For a young lady like her, it was the first time in her life to sneak into a boy's room secretly. Facts have proven that Ning Rongrong's actions are definitely worth the price of admission, even far exceeding expectations. Because of his previous experience, Qi Ling knew that the body would eliminate impurities when cultivating the true dragon body, so this time, he did not wear any clothes except underwear. Therefore, Ning Rongrong was completely unprepared and admired Qi Ling's muscles all over her body. The solid yet smooth lines made her stunned for a moment. It turns out that the human body can really be so perfect that it can be called a work of art. This was the first sentence that Ning Rongrong thought of at that moment. Then, Ning Rongrong reacted, screamed immediately, and ran out. Fortunately, Qi Ling had already completed the training of the second level of True Dragon Body at this time, otherwise he would definitely go crazy under Ning Rongrong's bombardment at such a high decibel level. After Ning Rongrong ran out, her mind went blank and she ran directly back to the playground. When other people saw her appearance, they all asked what happened. Of course, Ning Rongrong could not say that if she sneaked into Qi Ling's room and saw him without clothes, she would be embarrassed to death. Just when she was in a panic, her face flushed and she didn't know what to say, Qi Ling had already packed up and came here. Facing everyone's inquiries, he smiled and said, "Oh, Rongrong came to see me just now, and he saw a cockroach. He was probably frightened." Ning Rongrong raised her nose and said, "HMPH, I did see a cockroach, or a cockroach without clothes." Tang San and others were immediately confused. There were cockroaches wearing clothes. Flanders looked at Qi Ling's appearance, but suddenly said in surprise, "Qi Ling, have you become stronger again?" Qi Ling couldn't help but secretly give a thumbs up. As expected of a four-eyed owl, he immediately discovered the fact that he had made a breakthrough. The completion of the second level of True Dragon Body is quite obvious for Qi Ling's physical strengthening, even no less than a breakthrough in soul power. The current Qi Ling's physique is comparable to that of most soul beasts, and he can be said to be a true humanoid ferocious beast. After receiving a positive reply, Flender sighed, "How much stronger do you want to become? It seems that as long as I don't see you for a day, you can immediately reach another level. If this continues, I think it won't be long before you can beat your teacher Zhao Wuji even if you don't use your ring sealing technique." Zhao Wuji on the side snorted disdainfully, but he was also frightened in his heart. The speed at which this boy became stronger was too incredible, and what Flanders said was not impossible. After taking a short rest, Shrek and the others started heading towards the Star Forest. Since the academy did not have a carriage, they all set off on foot. Except for Zhao Wuji, 8 people advanced in a shuttle formation, with Dai Mubai leading the way, Tang San and Ma Hongjun taking care of the whole crowd, Xiaowu and Zhu Zuqing sweeping the formation on the flanks, and Oscar and Ning Rongrong being protected in the middle. As for Qi Ling, the strongest member of the team, he did his best to hold down the most dangerous position at the end of the team. After all, when moving forward, everyone's attention is focused on the front, and the position at the back is the most dangerous position. Not long after they started rushing, everyone felt the importance of the auxiliary soul master. In order to reach the Stardow Forest as soon as possible, everyone naturally ran forward, consuming soul power at an alarming rate. But with the soul power provided by Oscar's sausage, everyone is less stressed and can maintain full energy at all times and maintain the same formation. As for the other auxiliary soul master in the team, Ning Rongrong, he did not use his soul skills because of the gap between him and everyone else. In other words, it wasn't that she didn't want to use it, but that she couldn't find the right time to use her soul skill. Seeing how harmoniously Oscar got along with everyone, she felt a little envious in her heart. Qi Ling looked at this scene, sighed helplessly, and said, Wrong, use your soul skills to help everyone speed up. Otherwise, at this speed, we will probably have to sleep in the wild. Why should I use soul skills on you? Humph, Ning Rongrong said duplicitously. Haha, then think of it as me hiring you, 5 gold soul coins every hour. How about it? It's a high price, right? Qi Ling said with a smile. HMPH, I don't care about your money. Although Ning Rongrong said this, he summoned his own 7 treasure glazed tile tower and used his own accelerating soul skill. As soon as the 7 treasures glazed pagoda came out, Several people suddenly felt their bodies become lighter and their speed increased a lot. Everyone's attitude towards Ning Rongrong also changed a lot. Rongrong, thank you, Oscar said at this time, I feel much better. But Ning Rongrong pouted and whispered to himself, what's the use of thanking me? I'm not using my soul skills for you. Although everyone's speed has increased a lot, speeding up 8 people at the same time, even with Oscar's sausage to replenish their soul power, is a huge burden for Ning Rongrong, not to mention that she still needs to maintain her own speed. Finally, after 7 hours of persistence, Ning Rongrong finally reached her limit and was about to fall down as soon as her feet became weak. But at this moment, a pair of strong arms picked her up and carried her into his arms. Qi Ling picked up Ning Rongrong while continuing to run, and said in her ear, you did a great job, thank you for your hard work. When Ning Rongrong heard this, a smile appeared on her lips, and she felt sleepy, and she actually fell asleep in Qi Ling's arms. Until nightfall, the people who had been traveling all day stopped in a small town not far from the Star Forest, preparing to rest for a night before moving on. Ma Hongjun and others, who were panting, looked at Qi Ling, who was holding Ning Rongrong all the way but not even breathing, and said depressedly, Boss Qi, are you still a human? Are you too strong? Qi Ling shrugged helplessly and said the classic line again, people and their physiques cannot be generalized. After discussion, everyone decided to rest in a hotel in the town for one night before setting off the next day. Qi Ling woke up Ning Rongrong, who was still sleeping. After she stretched in Qi Ling's arms, she said in a daze, is it dawn? Where is this? If you don't get up, it will be dark soon, Qi Ling said with a smile. Only then did Ning Rongrong realize that she was actually lying in Qi Ling's arms. She immediately let out a sweet cry, jumped up, and then sat next to Xiao Wu. After several people started ordering the food, Zhao Wuji walked upstairs alone. Ma Hongjun said that this is the rule of the college. Teachers will not charge students any benefits, and certainly will not pay any fees for them. Oh, there are such rules, Qi Ling said with a smile, this is quite novel. This is the first time I have seen such a school. Ma Hongjun smiled and said, that's natural. How can our Shrek Academy be the same as other academies? Anyway, I quite like this. Everything is clear and unpretentious. Qi Ling nodded and said, it is indeed clear, but it lacks some human touch. You eat first, and I will go find Teacher Zhao for a few drinks. After walking up to the second floor, Qi Ling sat directly at Zhao Wuji's desk. Zhao Wuji looked at him and said angrily, smelly boy, what are you doing? Fatty should have told you the rules of the academy, right? It's okay, I'm not Shrek's student now, I'm just a man who wants to drink. Qi Ling said, taking out a jar of century-old wine from his storage space, and slapped it on the table. Zhao Wuji was about to scold Qi Ling, but when Qi Ling slapped the wine jar away with a pop, he was speechless. This wine is too fragrant. After swallowing quietly, Zhao Wuji still pretended to be serious and said, Humph, you want to drink, why don't you drink with them, but you come to me to drink? It's nothing, they are still children, but they can't drink such strong wine. Qi Ling said with a smile, besides, do men need a reason to drink? Ha ha ha, okay, you brat, what you said is to my liking. Zhao Wuji said with a smile, here, pour the wine for me, I want to see how strong your wine is. Seeing Qi Ling actually drinking strong drinks with Zhao Wuji, the others downstairs couldn't help but express their deep admiration. For this teacher Zhao, they actually felt a little scared, and they were far from being able to move as freely as Qi Ling. Brother Qi is indeed a very human being. This is the first time I have seen someone who can treat teacher Zhao like this. Dai Mubai said with admiration, you know, I still don't dare to drink with teacher Zhao. Quote. When she heard someone praising her elder brother, Xiao Wu immediately said happily, of course, Brother Qi is very powerful. He often says that people should not be arrogant and waste their youth, telling us that we should spend our youth while we are young and have fun. Everyone laughed after hearing this, and Ma Hongjun said, Boss Qi is really similar to our dean. The dean often says that those who dare not cause trouble are mediocre. He tells us that if we are timid, we should not become soul masters. Oscar shook his head and said, well, I think we will never be able to live a life as free and easy as Boss Qi, and live a happy life. Tang San also nodded and said, brother is indeed unpredictable in his actions. Among the people I have ever met, there is no one more unruly than him. Seeing everyone praising Qi Ling, Ning Rongrong pouted and said, "Humph, how could he be so good, he would bully others." "Hey, Rongrong, we all know, you call this flirting, right?" Ma Hongjun said with a malicious smile. "Boss Qi hugged you all the way. How are you? Do you feel comfortable?" "Damn it, fat man, you're going to die." Ning Rongrong was so embarrassed that she immediately chased Ma Hongjun relentlessly, but he nimbly dodged him. Several people who were originally slightly separated, but in the process of talking about Qi Ling, their relationship became much harmonious. This may be one of Qi Ling's charms. While they were drinking, a group of 8 people suddenly walked in from outside. The leader was a middle-aged man, wearing a moon-white robe, very elegant, with the word, Kangwei, embroidered on it. Following the middle-aged man were 6 men and 1 woman, who looked to be in their early 20s. They were also wearing moon-white Soul Master robes and belonged to the same academy. Seeing these people, Qi Ling smiled. They must be the unlucky ones of Kangwei College. He and others were thought to have arrived here early and would not meet them. Who knows, but they met unexpectedly. It seems that this is fate. Sure enough, not long after the people from Kangwei College sat down, Dai Mubai and Ma Hongjun couldn't help it anymore and started pointing at each other's female students, as if they wanted to kiss her. Being despised like this, the people of Kangwei Academy naturally refused to give up. Seeing that Tang San and others were just children, they couldn't help but want to teach them a lesson. However, after several secret fights, the people from Kangwei College not only failed to take advantage, but were severely humiliated by several people and suffered a huge loss. In this case, how could the people of Kangwei Academy endure it? The 7 students stood up together and glared at the table at Shrek Academy. They wanted to rush over, but were stopped by their teacher. "Which college are you kids from? You're so ungrateful that you didn't call your teacher out," the middle-aged man said in a pretentious manner. "You ugly monster, why are you talking so much nonsense? It's just a fight, so just come over here." Xiao Wu jumped up from his seat excitedly, saying as if he was afraid that the world would not be in chaos. The people at Kangwei College were furious, and except for the teacher and a girl, they all rushed over. As for the Shrek Academy side, they were not the lightest ones either. Xiao Wu, Dai Mubai, and Ma Hongjun rushed forward directly, while Zhu Zuqing and Tang San held down the rear, protecting Ning Rongrong and Oscar at the same time. Seeing the 2 groups of people fighting downstairs, Zhao Wuji asked Qi Ling nonchalantly, "Why, your companions are all fighting. Don't you, the boss, go down and help? What's the point of bullying a bunch of kids? Based on their level, I think Shaoxin can kill them all by himself." Qi Ling said nonchalantly. After all, although the opponent is much older, he does not even have a 3rd ring Soul Master, and his talent is far inferior to that of Shrek. This is not a fair battle from the beginning. The result was just as Qi Ling expected. The people of Kangwei Academy did not last long under the hands of Tang San and others before they were defeated and completely lost their will to fight. Seeing his students defeated, the teacher couldn't sit still and stepped forward and said, "Stop. You all stand down." Although the students of Kangwei Academy were dissatisfied, they also understood that they alone were no match for Shrek's group, so they had no choice but to retreat. "I am Yi Zicho, Director of the Foreign Affairs Department of Kangwei College. Which sect are you from?" Yi Zicho stepped forward and said. "We are from Shrek Academy, not a sect," Ma Hongjun said proudly. "Shrek Academy, I don't think I've heard of it." Knowing that the other party was not a sect, Yi Zicho felt relieved and felt confident in speaking. Dai Mubai snorted coldly at this time and said, "Ha, that's because you are ignorant. You haven't even heard of it at Shrek Academy. I think your Kangwei Academy is nothing more than that." Yi Zicho frowned, his eyes flashed, and he released his martial spirit, Shuangui, possessed. Along with the black soul mark, Yi Zicho was possessed by a martial spirit, his limbs shortened at the same time, and a huge turtle shell bulged out from his back. At the same time, 5 soul rings rose from the soles of his feet, revealing his identity as the Soul King, and immediately suppressed the momentum of everyone in Shrek. "You ignorant kids, don't think that just because you have some strength, you can do whatever you want," Yi Zicho said. "Call the teacher from your college to come out, and I want to talk to him." Ma Hongjun screamed strangely, "You, an old bastard, want to see our teacher? Just a few of us are enough. Yi Zichou hated being called a bastard the most in his life. He said angrily, "Good boy, you really don't know the heights of heaven and earth. I will teach you a lesson today. Let's go outside." Seeing everyone in Shrek and Yi Zichou going outside together, Zhao Wuji said to Qi Ling, "Although these guys are powerful, they are probably no match for the Soul King." Qi Ling nodded and said, "Indeed, Dai Mubai, who has the highest soul power among them, is only a soul master. The gap is too big. Then, you going up or me going up?" Ding dong. It is detected that the host is facing a battle choice. Please choose from the following options. Option 1. Refuse to fight. Let Zhao Wuji step in to resolve the battle, and receive rewards, a pot of fine wine and a 10-year soul ring. Option 2. Fight in person and defeat Soul King Yi Zichou, and receive the reward, Soul Guidance Device, Black Demon Cloak Level 5. It's another soul tool. It seems that this should be a defensive soul tool. Qi Ling can't miss it. The more of these things, the better. Moreover, this is a level 5 defensive soul tool, which means that it can defend against attacks at the Soul King level. For now, it is enough. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for choosing option 2, fighting in person and receiving the reward, Soul Guidance Device, Black Demon Cloak Level 5. I'll do it. I just want to relax a bit. Qi Ling stood up, moved his body and said, "But before that, let them experience the feeling of fighting against the Soul King." Zhao Wuji looked at Qi Ling with a relaxed look on his face, and smiled helplessly. He didn't take a Soul King seriously during his conversation. Who could have imagined that he was just a great soul master? But unfortunately, when these words came out of Qi Ling's mouth, no one felt that it was inconsistent. Zhao Wuji didn't know when he started, but he also felt that this kid Qi Ling should be invincible. Maybe it's like Flanders said, before long, this kid will be able to beat himself with his bare hands. In order to prepare for that time, should I first establish a good relationship with him? Facing an expert at the Soul King level, Tang San and the others no longer held back. They all showed their best, preparing to face off head-on, to test how hard this old turtle's shell was. Fortunately, the other party was a defensive spirit master, so Tang San and others had the possibility to compete with him. If the other party was a strong attack or agility attack spirit master, then Tang San and others would have no chance. Possibly fight with the other party. The few people used were still the formations controlled by Dai Mubai, Ma Hongjun, Xiao Wu, Zhu Zuqing's raiding formation, and Tang San's control. Facing Yi Zichou, Ma Hongjun's flames can restrain the opponent, but the effect is very limited. As for the others, the situation was rather miserable. The black turtle was an ice attribute martial spirit. Under the influence of the ice attribute, even their speed was affected. And more importantly, Yi Zichou is not a soul master who focuses entirely on defense. Among his soul skills, there are also soul skills that can carry out long-range attacks. After a fight, everyone in Shrek was more or less injured by the ice, and Yi Zichou was even more surprised. Not only are these young men highly capable, but they also work well together. Which academy produced so many geniuses? Although he had scruples, if he was defeated by a few students like this, Yi Zichou would have no place to put his face. He rolled his eyes and immediately took it into consideration. Tang San used his blue-silver grass to assist Xiao Wu and Dai Mubai to launch a fierce attack on Yi Zichou again. Zhu Zuqing also took the opportunity to launch a sneak attack on him from behind. But just after the three people came to him, Yi Zichou suddenly used the Zan Shui Frozen move to control the three people. For this move, Tang San had already prepared for it. The blue-silver grass activated and immediately pulled the three of them back to a safe position. Little did they know that this was exactly the effect Yi Zichou wanted to achieve. HMPH, little brat, compared with my actual combat experience, you are still far behind. Yi Zichou said, and suddenly spit out a black cold current from his mouth, which was his fourth soul skill, Xuanshui Stirring. And Yi Zichou's target was not Tang San and others, but Ning Rongrong, who was being protected by several people. Injuring 10 of his fingers would be better than cutting off one of them. Yi Zichou's plan was to reduce the opponent's number and then defeat them one by one. Seeing that Yi Zichou's Xuanshui was about to hit Ning Rongrong, Tang San and others were unable to rescue him, but Qi Ling suddenly appeared from the sky and protected Ning Rongrong in his arms. Then he waved the cloak behind him, and Yi Zichou's mysterious water hit it, but was blocked by force. Then Qi Ling took off the cloak behind him, put it on Ning Rongrong, came to Yi Zichou and said, "Okay, mistress, you go back to eat first, leave this old turtle to me." When Ma Hongjun saw Qi Ling coming, he immediately said happily, "Wow! Boss Qi, you are finally willing to take action. That's great, now we can rest." Tang San cautiously said to Qi Ling, "Brother, his martial spirit is very special, you have to be careful." Qi Ling smiled and said, "Don't worry, no matter how special you are, can you still be more special than me?" Everyone in Shrek Academy returned to the restaurant and planned to see how Qi Ling taught Yi Zichou a lesson. Before Ning Rongrong left, he added his own soul skills to Qi Ling. Yi Zichou looked at this young man who easily blocked his soul skills and said, "Who are you? Are you also a student of this Shrek Academy?" "You guessed it, but I still have an identity now," Qi Ling said with a smile, "I'm here to break your turtle shell." Yi Zichou was furious. These little brats repeatedly violated his taboos. It was really intolerable, but who could not be tolerated? HMPH. Don't talk nonsense, kid. What can you, a little great soul master, do to me? Yi Zichou sneered. My black turtle's back armor is where the essence of the martial spirit resides. Even an attack-type soul king, not to mention you, can't break it. Oh, so powerful, Qi Ling said indifferently, how will you know if you don't try? HMPH, you don't overestimate your capabilities. If that's the case, then do it, Yi Zichou said, and the whole person shrank back into the turtle shell, fully demonstrating what it means to be a turtle with a shrunken head. Soul skills. Black turtle armor, ice barrier. Yi Zichou used 2 defensive soul skills in succession, thinking that he had reached the most perfect state. You brat, if you're not afraid of freezing your hands off, just come on. Really, there is such a person, begging others to beat him, there is really no way. Qi Ling smiled and summoned his martial spirit, Dragon Emperor, possessed. If Yi Zichou uses his ice characteristics to fight with him, it will be difficult for Qi Ling to deal with him with his ice control ability. But now, relying on his turtle shell, he actually dares to stand still and let Qi Ling hit him, then he is undoubtedly seeking his own death. The reason for this is that after Qi Ling's true dragon body broke through the 2nd level, he mastered a very terrifying attribute. When combined with his soul skill, Belong Fist, it can achieve very amazing effects. At that moment, the 1,000-year soul ring on Qi Ling's body lit up. He clenched his right fist tightly, but did not swing it out immediately. Instead, he focused all his attention on his right fist, constantly gathering his soul power. As the soul power in his right fist gathered more and more, the eyes of everyone around him were attracted to him. Ma Hongjun swallowed and said, "What is Boss Qi doing? Is he planning to destroy the world?" Zhao Wuji wiped his cold sweat with a cautious expression and said to himself, "I don't know if I can catch this punch." That's right, the ability Qi Ling has is to accumulate power. The longer you accumulate strength, the greater your power will be. This so-called energy accumulation is not just about gathering the power of one's own body, but also allows Qi Ling to gather a large amount of spiritual energy from the surrounding environment to further increase the power of his punch. As the charge increases, the power of Qi Ling's punch will become more and more amazing, 45 times, 50 times, 55 times. When the charge limit is reached, this punch can even exert 100 twice the destructive power. This is my new ability. I call it Super Tyrannosaurus Fist. Qi Ling said, "Feel honored, old turtle, you are the first person to have tasted this punch." The next second, the punch that shocked everyone was swung by Qi Ling and hit Yi Zichou's turtle shell. The incomparable power even caused the surrounding space to temporarily freeze. Yi Zichou's ice barrier seemed to be made of paper and had no effect. The punch hit his turtle shell firmly. Click, click, a slight crisp sound came out, and everyone looked intently. It turned out to be the turtle shell behind Yi Zichou, which cracked into pieces at this time. But Yi Zichou suddenly fell forward without any reaction. Under the impact of Qi Ling's punch, he was stunned and fainted. Teacher, teacher. The students of Kangwei College were shocked and rushed forward to lift Yi Zichou up, only to find that he had even been released from the possession of his martial spirit. They never expected that their teacher, a 5-ring soul king, could not even sustain a move under Qi Ling. Who was he? I'm sorry, it's a bit heavy-handed. You won't mind, right? Qi Ling said with a smile. If anyone is still dissatisfied, I'll be here at any time. How could a few students from Kangwei College have the courage? They just want to escape from this place as quickly as possible. The person in front of them is clearly more terrifying than the soul beasts in the Stardow Forest. After everyone in Kangwei Academy fled in despair, Qi Ling stretched out his right hand and gasped, "This old turtle's shell is really hard." Although Qi Ling's move just now was indeed very powerful, the force was too powerful and exceeded the limit that he could bear. Coupled with Yi Zichou's ice attribute damage, he was no longer able to punch again at this time. But victory is victory, and you have to pretend to be cool. After all, if you had just covered your right hand and screamed, your coolness would have dropped by more than one level. After Qi Ling returned to the hotel, Ma Hongjun was the first to rush up and said with admiration, "Wow! Boss Qi, you are simply my idol. The 7 of us worked hard for a long time, but we couldn't get any benefit from that old turtle. You killed him with one punch. Isn't this too exaggerated?" "Of course, Brother Qi is omnipotent," Xiao Wu said excitedly at this time. "You guys, you are so excited." Zhao Wuji came down from upstairs and said, "Go to bed quickly, we have to get up early tomorrow." Xiao Wu stuck out her tongue and said, "Teacher Zhao, Brother Qi was so majestic just now. Why don't you praise him? He still uses me to praise you. You just praise him to the sky." Zhao Wuji said angrily, "The old turtle is also unlucky. It's not good to offend anyone. He offended a little monster like you." "That's wrong, Teacher Zhao. Not only Boss Qi is a monster, but all of us at Shrek Academy are monsters." Ma Hongjun said, "It's just that Boss Qi is the king of monsters among us." "King of monsters, he's quite majestic." Zhao Wuji smiled, "Okay, you guys, go to bed early. Don't be late tomorrow." Afterwards, everyone went back to their rooms to rest. When Qi Ling was about to leave, Ning Rongrong grabbed him and handed him the cloak from before. Qi Ling smiled and took the cloak, but Ning Rongrong did not let go. Instead, he smiled slyly and said, "Why don't you take it with your right hand?" Qi Ling smiled helplessly, "You still found me. HMPH. You can hide it from them, how can you hide it from me?" Ning Rongrong said with a little pride, "I am Ning Rongrong." Yes, you are the smartest," Qi Ling said helplessly, then stretched out his right hand, "Keep it a secret for me." Looking at Qi Ling's right hand, Ning Rongrong frowned and said, "Why do you boys love to show off so much? How long will it take for such a serious injury to heal?" "Haha, I can't help it. It's a boy's nature to be cool," Qi Ling said with a smile, "but it's just a little injury and it will be fine tomorrow." "Ha, bragging," Ning Rongrong said in disbelief. Afterwards, Ning Rongrong carefully bandaged Qi Ling's injuries, and the two of them went back to their rooms to sleep. But what Ning Rongrong didn't know was that Qi Ling was really not bragging. Qi Ling, who practices the 9 transformation true dragon art, has incredible body repair abilities. In just one night, the injury on his right hand was restored to its original state. On the next day, Ning Rongrong looked at Qi Ling's intact right hand and blinked, wondering if she had hallucinated yesterday. When everyone arrived, Zhao Wuji led everyone and began to move towards the Star Forest. From here on, they can already enter the Stardow Forest. What they need to guard against is not only the ferocious spirit beasts, but also the spirit masters who are even more ferocious than the spirit beasts. Unlike the soul-hunting forests run by the Empire, the Stardow Forest is a true paradise for soul beasts. You can find almost any soul beast here, and the closer you get to the depths of the forest, the stronger the soul beasts are. As he moved forward, Qi Ling opened the Wheel of Destiny on his body. The pointer of the wheel was still pointing in the direction of the Star Forest. It seemed that he could indeed gain something from this trip. After driving for another long time, everyone finally entered the outskirts of the Stardow Forest. Looking at the lush and towering ancient trees in front of them, everyone felt a little more uneasy, not knowing what they would encounter during this trip. "Okay, stop." Zhao Wuji motioned for everyone to stop and said, "After this, we will all enter the Star Forest. Do you all remember the things you should pay attention to?" After receiving everyone's affirmative reply, Zhao Wuji nodded and said, "Very good. Remember, after entering the forest, do not provoke unnecessary soul beasts. If you encounter any situation, you must discuss it with everyone first. What we are looking for Oscar are naturally soul beasts that are over 1,000 years old. Once we find a suitable target, we will try to hit it with one strike. No one is allowed to attack the soul beast easily without my order. Do you understand? Clear. Afterwards, everyone maintained their basic formation and began to search for a suitable soul beast. However, the size of the Stardew forest was far beyond everyone's imagination. It was not that simple to find a suitable soul beast. An hour later, although Qiling and the others encountered many soul beasts, including several that were over 1,000 years old, their attributes were not suitable for Oscar. Seeing that everyone was exhausted from being tortured by the forest environment, Zhao Wuji had no choice but to order everyone to rest in place for an hour. After all, this place is still on the outskirts of the Star Forest. If you continue to go deeper, you may not encounter any danger. It is necessary to adjust the state to the best. The happiest person to come to the Star Forest is naturally Xiao Wu, and Qiling also knows the reason, because this is where she has lived since she was a child. Just after everyone rested for half an hour, Qiling suddenly raised his head and said silently in his heart, "Here we come." In his fiery eyes, several thousand meters away from them, a flying snake was flying toward them at high speed. This snake has a fleshy crest on its head and a fan-shaped tail. It is exactly the soul beast that Oscar should win, the 1,000-year-old phoenix-tailed coxcomb. Everyone, pay attention. Something is coming. Qiling stood up and said to everyone. To the southeast, a crested snake that is about 1,000 years old is flying towards us. Oscar, you have a soul ring. Everyone was shocked at this time, including Zhao Wuji. As a soul saint, he has not found any sign of the snake at this time. Qiling actually knows its year. Is this still a human? But in any case, as Qiling said, this crested snake is the most suitable choice for Oscar in every aspect, and there is no reason to miss it. So under the command of Zhao Wuji, Shrek and the others successfully forced the crested snake into a desperate situation. After all, although it is a 1,000-year soul beast, apart from its own speed, there is really nothing noteworthy about this phoenix-tailed crested snake, and with Zhao Wuji's gravity amplification and positioning tracking, no matter how fast it is useless. Ha ha ha, done. Zhao Wuji firmly grasped the crested snake with one hand, and at the same time took out a knife and handed it to Oscar. The night is long and the dream is long. Oscar, hurry up and do it. Start from under the snake's flesh crown. With just one stab, you can destroy its brain and get the soul ring. Oscar took the dagger excitedly, and then came to the crested snake. His excitement was palpable. After all, he is only a 14-year-old boy, and he is about to become the youngest food-type soul master in history. How can such an achievement not surprise people? Brother Snake, I'm sorry, but I really need your soul ring. Oscar felt cruel, raised the dagger in his hand, and stabbed the crested snake. Just when Oscar was about to take action, suddenly, a hoarse voice shouted, "Stop!" Then, two figures appeared from the direction where the coxcomb snake came from and stood in front of everyone. The two people, one old and one young, are both women. The old woman looked to be 60 or 70 years old, with white hair, but a ruddy complexion and a strong posture. In her hand was a snake head crutch, which was constantly beating with the 6 soul rings. The girl next to the old woman looked to be about 16 years old. She was dressed in neat clothes, which wrapped her well-developed figure and outlined breathtaking curves, especially the water snake waist, which was really eye-opening. Although the girl was not stunningly beautiful, she had a certain charm between her brows. Her brown eyes were fixed on the crested snake in Zhao Wuji's hand, which also held a snake head crutch. Seeing the appearance of the two of them, everyone in Shrek felt nervous. In the Stardew forest, snatching soul beasts was nothing new, and killings for this purpose also happened from time to time. However, the old woman only had 6 soul rings, so she was obviously only a 6-ring soul emperor, while Zhao Wuji was a 7-ring soul saint, so she had full advantages. "What's the matter with you?" Zhao Wuji said with an unkind expression. Zhao Wuji, the immovable king, was never a good person. The old woman looked at the soul ring on Zhao Wuji and was secretly frightened. She knew that she could not force herself at this time, otherwise she might not only fail to get the soul ring, but also risk her own life. The old woman had no choice but to say, "Brother, I look up to the sky. This crested snake is one that my granddaughter and I have tracked all the way here, but it already belongs to us. Please be kind and return it to us." When Zhao Wuji heard Chao Tianxiang's name, he was startled, and he naturally recognized her as the snake lady among the unparalleled dragons and snakes. Since she was here, Duke Long must be not far away. Once the two of them met, he would never be able to get any benefits. But it was not an easy task to get Zhao Wuji to spit out what he had eaten. So he and Chao Tianxiang immediately started to talk. Chao Tianxiang was worried about Zhao Wuji's strength, but was also shocked by the potential of everyone in Shrek Academy. After thinking for a while, he said, "Brother Zhao, let's not talk about those nonsense, how about we just follow the rules of the Soul Master World?" "Oh, the rules of the Soul Master World. Senior, please state it clearly," Zhao Wuji said. "It's very simple. Since your student also needs this soul ring, how about letting the two of them compete based on their strength?" Chao Tianxiang said. "Haha, Senior, this is not possible, because my student is an auxiliary soul master, how can he fight?" Zhao Wuji said with a smile. "How about this? I'll give you someone else. He's also in the realm of a great soul master. How do you compare with him?" Chao Tianxiang frowned and looked at Meng Yiren aside, as if asking what she meant. Meng Yiren raised his head and said bluntly, "No. If you want to compete with me, of course I have to choose your opponent." This time it was Zhao Wuji who hesitated and said, "Then who do you want to compete with?" Meng Yiren looked at everyone in Shrek one by one, and finally set his sights on Qi Ling. This pretty boy is so handsome, so he must be a showman who is worthless and useless. Of course, he must be picky when it comes to persimmons. I want to compete with him. Meng Yiren stretched out his hand and pointed at Qi Ling, saying proudly. Meng Yiren thought that everyone at Shrek Academy would have disappointed and nervous expressions at this time. After all, they were definitely losing. But who would have expected that when they saw that they had chosen Qi Ling, everyone in Shrek's expressions became very strange, and even the fat man couldn't help laughing. Zhao Wuji also suppressed his smile and said, "Do you really want to compete with him? Don't regret it." "Huh, what's there to regret? I don't believe I'm inferior to you," Meng Yiren said proudly. No, you have to say who will win among the others, but you picked him." Zhao Wuji said helplessly, "Oh, Qi Ling, you should be gentler." "Don't worry, Teacher Zhao, I'm measured." Qi Ling easily jumped in front of Meng Yiren and said, "Tell me, little girl, how do you want to compare?" "Girl," Meng Yiren's eyes widened and he said angrily, "Impolite guy, I'm older than you should call me sister." "If you win, I will call you sister," Qi Ling said with a smile. "Okay, let's talk about the competition quickly." Meng Yiren said proudly, "HMPH. Since you are also a great soul master, then I won't bully you. Let's compare our soul power to see whose soul power is more powerful." PFF ha ha ha. Before Meng Yiren finished speaking, Ma Hongjun burst out laughing, comparing soul power. Comparing soul power with Boss Chi. Ha ha ha. The others also looked like they wanted to laugh but didn't dare to laugh at this time, which made Meng Yiren confused. "Why are you laughing? Are you crazy?" No, but little girl, I suggest you don't compete with me in terms of soul power," Qi Ling said helplessly, "otherwise, you will lose miserably." "I don't believe it. You only have 2 soul rings, how much stronger than me?" Meng still didn't believe it. Qi Ling had no choice but to directly choose the martial spirit to possess him. At the same time, in order to be more convincing, this time he manifested the Blood Demon Emperor's martial spirit. When the 2 bright purple soul rings lit up, Chao Tianxiang and Meng Yiren did the same action together. They wiped their eyes at the same time, wondering if they had seen it wrong. How is this possible? How can you obtain 2,000-year soul rings?" Chao Tianxiang said in disbelief. As for Meng Yiren, she was even more shocked because the 2 yellow century-old soul rings were still floating on her snake staff martial spirit. Compared with Qi Ling's 1,000-year soul ring, she was immediately embarrassed. "I told you, I don't want to bully you if I don't compete with you," Qi Ling said helplessly. "You'd better compete with me instead. Then, let's compare our eyesight." Meng Yiren said. She is usually good at using hidden weapons and is quite confident in her eyesight. But who knows? Qi Ling shook his head again and said, you little girl, you feel more like I am bullying you than anything else. On the colorful sycamore tree 5 kilometers to the southeast, on the 36th leaf of the 48th branch, there are 3 bugs, 2 red and 1 yellow. The red one is the flyfeather species, and the yellow one is the giant foot species. Qi Ling said casually. Senior Chao Tianxiang, please confirm whether what I said is correct. Chao Tianxiang headed towards the direction Qi Ling said with a suspicious look on her face, but her heart was full of disbelief. It is impossible for humans to achieve such vision. Could this kid be bluffing me? But when Chao Tianxiang came back, the expression on her face had turned into one of shock. Meng Yiren said in disbelief, Grandma, how is it? Could it be? Chao Tianxiang nodded. It's the same as what he said. Qi Ling, who had blazing eyes and golden eyes, had a vision beyond what normal people could imagine. Even if Tang San maximized his purple demon eyes, he still wouldn't be able to reach Qi Ling's level. Meng Yiren did not expect that her 2 most proud skills were not even qualified to compete with Qi Ling. This could not help but cause a serious blow to her. Ma Hongjun, who was watching the battle, gloated to Oscar next to him, it's so miserable. Ever since she chose to compete with Boss Qi, I knew she was going to lose, but I didn't expect that she would lose so miserably. Oscar said. Shish, keep your voice down, what a shame if she hears it. What if she doesn't compete with Boss Qi? Thanks for watching, please like and subscribe.